This is what you teach, 𝐒𝐸𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐸𝐸. Cruelty. To the weaker opponent.
Your interest in the Princeling's training is quite unusual, Commander. Most men would only have that kind of devotion toward a cousin, or a brother, or a son.
Ten years after the eventful wedding, Rhaenyra bears 3 sons, 𝐄𝐩𝐢𝐬𝐸𝐬𝐸, 𝐿ucerys, and a newborn Joffrey. Unlike most Targaryens or Valerians, the boys don't have the unique silver hair attributed to those families, but instead flaunt a tuft of plainly featured black hair. This abnormality raises questions about the kid's father, as many speculate that Laenor isn't their biological father. These rumors only worsen when word spreads that the boys bear an uncanny resemblance to Harwin Strong, Lord Lionel's son, and Rhaenyra's closest knight and the Lord Commander of the City Watch. Thanks to this similarity, many royals, including Alicent, believe the princess is having an affair with Harwin and suspect the kids are illegitimate bastards born out of wedlock with him. One afternoon, Alicent's 2 sons, Aegon and Aemond, head for dragon training with 𝐄𝐩𝐢𝐬𝐸𝐸 and 𝐿ucerys. Arriving at the dragon pit, the boys are taught by their tutor how the mystical creatures operate. It turns out each dragon has a single master and only takes orders from the rider who tames it. Once a connection has been made between the creature and its master, the dragon will obey no other human until its current rider dies. True to Targaryen tradition, the 4 boys were gifted a dragon egg at birth, but only 3 successfully hatched. Unlike the others, Aemond's egg remains dormant. Hence, the prince is left without a dragon. This earns him the constant ridicule of his peers, as Aegon and Rhaenyra's kids poke fun at his expense. Mocking him, the trio leads the prince to a pig dressed as a dragon and asks him to ride it. Humiliated, Aemond leaves the pit and runs to report the bullying to his mother. Meanwhile, back at the palace, Alicent hangs out with her daughter, Helaena, when Aemond dashes in. Learning about the bullying, the queen grows disdain for Rhaenyra's children and reports the case to Viserys. She voices her suspicions over the boys' parentage and demands the king take action against Rhaenyra. Despite the glaring evidence, Viserys defends his daughter and refuses to acknowledge the accusations made against her. Unsuccessful in her ploy against Rhaenyra, Alicent visits Aegon in his room and scolds him for being mean to his brother. Explaining the realm's politics to the preteen, she tells Aegon that he and Aemond are at a disadvantage, as Rhaenyra and her kids are next in line to succeed Viserys. In light of this, Alicent emphasizes they need to work together to overthrow the princess and have Aegon become the new heir. While the royals scheme in Westeros, Daemon enjoys a new life in Pentos, one of the free cities. There, the prince marries Laena Velaryon, and together, the couple starts a family with their 2 daughters, Rhaena and Baela. Like Aemond, Rhaena has no dragon, which causes her to have an estranged relationship with her father. After spending years in Pentos, Laena conceives yet another child and is days from her labor date. Having a total of 3 dragons, the family is seen as a powerful military force, which earns the favor of Reggio, the Prince of Pentos. To bolster the city's might, Reggio offers Daemon and his family permanent residency in Pentos, alongside multiple riches in exchange for their help in a brewing war. Homesick, Laena moves to reject the offer and return to Westeros. However, Daemon stops her and chooses to consider Reggio's offer. Days later, Laena goes into labor, as Pentos healers help with the delivery. Despite the medic's best efforts, the pregnancy has a fatal complication. Having done all they can, the healers reveal that Laena will not survive the childbirth. Learning this, she decides to die a memorable death, and has her dragon Vhagar set her and the unborn child ablaze, while Daemon helplessly watches. Over at King's Landing, Alicent and Rhaenyra's sons practice sword fighting under Sir Criston's supervision. Harboring disdain for the princess after his rejection, Criston intentionally pits Aegon against a much younger 𝐒𝐩𝐢𝐬𝐸𝐸. Naturally, Aegon wins the fight and keeps striking at Jacaerys even when the boy is already on the ground. Moments later, Sir Harwin rushes to the scene and fiercely comes to Jacaerys' defense. Seeing this, Criston insinuates Harwin protected Jacaerys because the prince is secretly his son. This statement greatly annoys the commander, prompting him to attack Sir Criston, as both men get into a fight. Harwin easily gains the upper hand and pins his opponent to the floor, but the guards quickly stop the fight and rush to separate the two men. Within hours, news of Harwin's flare-up spreads across the castle, and this only worsens the rumors surrounding Rhaenyra's kids. Many of the royals see the knight's reaction as a confirmation of guilt and grow even more suspicious of the princess. Realizing this, Rhaenyra decides to take action to contain the rumors. After the small council's daily meeting, the princess proposes a marriage between Jacaerys and Alicent's only daughter, Helaena. This way, both families will be united and their discord finally put to rest. To make the offer more enticing, Rhaenyra also offers to gift Aemond a dragon egg in exchange for Helena's hand. Impressed by her proposal, Viserys accepts it, but Alicent refuses and asks for more time to consider the offer. Minutes later, Alicent leads an aged Viserys to his room as the couple debates Rhaenyra's proposal. At the other end of the palace, the king's new hand, Lionel Strong, receives word of Harwin's fight with Criston and grows worried for his son. Scared that the prince's true father will one day be revealed, Lionel decides to take Harwin out of King's Landing and return to Harrenhal, their home castle and seat of power. The king's hand requests leave from Viserys and shortly after heads home with his son. Before Harwin leaves, he bids Rhaenyra and their sons goodbye as he reluctantly exits the castle. After they leave, Alicent consults with Larys Strong, the Hand's second son and one of her allies at court. Reminiscing on old times, the queen tells him that she misses when her father was still the Hand of the King, and explains she'd do anything to have him reinstated. Hearing this, Larys resolves to help her achieve this, and sets up a plan to eliminate his own father, Lionel. That evening, Larys heads to the city's prison and frees a handful of death row convicts in exchange for their services. After having their tongues cut to ensure they do not reveal his secrets, Larys orders the men to kill Lionel and Harwin. Following his orders, the ex-convicts head to Harrenhal and set the castle ablaze with Lionel and Harwin inside. Trapped, the two men struggle to escape the deadly flames and eventually burn to their deaths. Back at King's Landing, Larys delivers the news of the duo's death to Alicent and confesses he was the mastermind behind the strike. Unaware of his plan, the queen feels guilty and explains she never intended anyone to die. Meanwhile, Rhaenyra also gets word of Harwin's passing and decides King's Landing is no longer safe for her family. Wasting no time, the princess alongside her former partner, Laenor, together with their kids, leave for Dragonstone.